Hi boys and girls, Mrs. Latas here. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to share with you a story called A House for Hermit Crab by Eric Carle. Eric Carle is one of my favorite authors and illustrators. He also wrote a familiar story called The Very Hungry Caterpillar that some of you might have read among many other books. But today I'm going to share with you A House for Hermit Crab. Time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell. He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the floor of the ocean. But it was frightening out in the ocean sea without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes along and attacks me? He thought. I must find a new house soon. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and strong. He moved right in, wiggling and waggling about inside it to see how it felt. It felt just right. But it looked so plain, thought Hermit Crab, as he finds his shell. At least it fits. Might be plain, but it fits him. In March, Hermit Crab met some sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. How beautiful you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and live on my house? It's so plain, it needs you. I'll come, whispered a small sea anemone. Gently, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his shell. So now he's got a sea anemone on the back of his shell. In April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the seafloor. How handsome you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, signaled a little sea star. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his house. So now he has sea anemone and he has the starfish. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral. They were hard and didn't move. How pretty you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to help make my house more beautiful? I would, creaked a crusty coral. Gingerly, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. So now he has sea anemone, starfish, and he has the coral on his shell. He's making it quite beautiful. Comes after May. I noticed that there's different months he's finding each of these things. So it comes after May. You're absolutely right, June. In June, Hermit Crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris and leaving a neat path behind them. How tidy and hard-working you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house? I would, offered one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. So now he has one of the snails on his back to help clean up any debris that falls and to clean up the path for him as he's moving along the ocean floor. In July, Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. Wonder how those sea urchins could help him. How fierce you look, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, answered a spiky sea urchin. Gratefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it near his shell. Ooh, he has to be careful with it because they have those pokey spikes and he doesn't want to get hurt, but it's going to help protect him from different predators that could come and hurt him. In August, Hermit Crab and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. It's so dark in here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is, murmured the sea anemone. How gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky it is, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like nighttime, cried the sea urchin. Oh, it's almost like they need something to be able to help them see through all of that seaweed. It's pretty dark. In September, Hermit Crab spotted a school of lanternfish darting through the dark water. How bright you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to light up our house? I would, replied one lanternfish, and it swam over near the shell. So now he fixed the problem of it being too dark. He has a lanternfish to help him light the way. His seashell is getting quite decorative, and then he's getting all these other sea creatures to help him along the way. I love how they're using all the teamwork. In October, Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth pebbles. How sturdy you are, said Hermit Crab. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Oh, not at all, said the pebbles. Hermit Crab picked them up one by one with his claw and built a wall around his shell. Now my house is perfect, cheered Hermit Crab. Looks pretty perfect to me. But in November, Hermit Crab felt that his shell seemed a bit too small. Little by little over the year, Hermit Crab had grown. Soon he would have to find a bigger home. But he had come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. They have been so good to me, thought Hermit Crab. They are like a family. How can I ever leave them? So he's outgrown his shell and he doesn't want to leave them. How could he ever leave something that helped him out so much? In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. I have outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know of a place for me? I have outgrown my house too, answered Hermit Crab. I must move on. You are welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to my friends. I promise, said the little crab. Oh, how neat. So he found another smaller hermit crab that needs a home, outgrew her shell, just like he outgrew his shell. He has to take very good care, or she has to take very good care of it in order to live there. The following January, Hermit Crab stepped out and the little crab moved in. Couldn't stay in that shell forever, said Hermit Crab as he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big, empty shell. It looked, well, a little plain, but sponges, he thought. Barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. Oh, there are so many possibilities. I can't wait to get started. Hermit Crab is so creative in thinking of all the different ways that he can create his home. On the back page here, it just gives a little bit of information about the different sea creatures that we saw in this book. So if you ever check this book out from the library, you can check out the back and it gives you more information about what sea anemones are, starfish, corals, snails, sea urchins, and lanternfish. So I love that this is in the back of here because there may have been something in here that you just didn't know what it was. Like, what is a sea anemone? I want to know about that. So in the back of the book, you can go back here and you can read more about those animals, those sea creatures. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day.